Self-aware leader. Here we go, guys. I got a good one for you today. One of my top 5, maybe even top 3, 4 books, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. Amazing book. Every one of you should read this. Absolutely life-changing. And I kind of want to go over these 7 habits, and I'm not going to do any justice to Stephen Covey. He was one of the best, but I feel like this will help you be a better self-aware leader. You're going to see some insights here that I hope will allow you to be able to click in the show notes and buy the book and study it out for yourself. So let's get right into it. Habit number 1. So there's habits in the book, and there's 7 of them. Number 1 is be proactive. This is about taking responsibility. A lot of life, if we really look at it, is reactive. And as a leader, we have to take the time and the initiative and allow ourselves to have this continual state of accountability, not just for our actions and decisions, but for the major things in our life, those things that require not just full attention, because a lot of us can look at this and we're like, we have this managers. A lot of leaders have this manager viewpoint of, yeah, I need to have responsibility. I need to get this done. And we kind of simplify this, being proactive, to a legal pad with check marks and a list. This is not what I'm talking about. This involves, self-aware leaders, I want you to listen to me. This involves recognizing that you have the power to influence your environment and outcomes. You are the creator. You have the power in you that creates worlds. I believe this. We have a higher self that is in us. So we have to get into the habit of being proactive and recognizing this power that is in us. So how do we do this? I want to give you a few leadership tips. This is going to help you. Number 1 is model accountability. Demonstrate accountability in your actions and decisions. Encourage your team to do that. You model that. And the best thing that you can do is get in the habit of being proactive in your personal life. And I guarantee you, if you can get those things straight, physically, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally, in your personal life, it's going to bleed over to accountability with you as a leader with your team. Number 2, cultivate a can-do attitude. Encourage a proactive mindset within your team. Always, this is so corny and it sounds so old, guys, but it's focusing on solutions rather than problems. It is so easy. I always tell my team, it's so easy for us to focus on the problem, isn't it? That's the first thing we want to do. We're geared that way. It's evolutionary psychology. Here's a problem in the tribe. We need to fix it or else we're all going to die. But the focus, we recognize the problem. We see what it is. We get the truth out of the problem. We write it out. Here's the problem. Now it's our opportunity to be proactive with the problem and focus on solutions. Notice I said solutions. A lot of times we're looking for that one hit, that one pill, the one heroin shot, the one thing that's going to solve this problem. And a lot of times it's like multiple solutions. It's a step of processes. It's like this has to happen, and then this happens, and this happens, and we solve the problem. Maybe you have to get 3 people involved, 5 people involved, multiple teams involved, other leaders. But the minute that you have this can-do attitude, it makes life so much simpler. Okay, here's a problem. I got it. Here's a problem. Let's move forward. How do we fix it? We've gained clarity on the problem. Now let's focus on the solution. Next, empower your team. Give team members the autonomy to make decisions and take ownership. I've talked about this a million times if you listen to my podcast, so we're not going to get into that too much. Habit number 2. Habit number 1 is be proactive. Habit number 2 is begin with the end in mind. Maybe you've heard this. This is super famous from his book. This is an old book. This is vision. Effective leaders have a clear vision of their goals and the direction they want to take their team and organization. And this habit emphasized the importance of strategic planning. The podcast I just did before this talks about strategic planning. And then aligning our actions with long-term objectives. What do those long-term objectives look like? And, when you have a child, it's begin with the end in mind. What do you want the outcome to be when they're 21, 25, 30 years old? How do I reverse engineer that to make sure that not only am I growing with them, not only am I following what their interests and passions, but I'm also looking exactly of what I know in my wisdom of the things that I didn't do, that I can steer them, not go against their free will, but steer them in a direction of I know that the end in mind is going to be positive. And that's the same thing we do with our team, isn't it? With those that we serve. So what are the tips for beginning with the end in mind? Develop a clear vision. I harp on this, and you guys know this over and over and over again. If you cannot articulate a compelling vision to your team, to your family, to your organization, you're doomed. The vision is what moves you and propels you. It's what causes your team to stay late or come in early or work harder on a project. It's the vision is what motivates people. Look throughout history. What gets people excited? I remember the Winston Churchill, and he's standing up on a building and he's shooting a revolver up in the sky at planes that are bombing him. Does he have a chance of hitting one of those bombers? No. But what is the image? The image is every person here in England has a task, has a responsibility, and we're going to fight this enemy together. We're not going to allow them to ruin us. That's a clear vision. What are your core values? What are your long-term goals? Do you have those clearly outlined so that you know what the vision is, so that you can share it with every single employee? That's why coaching is so important, and I talk about this because you have to be able to cast vision 100 times a day. If you're not doing it 100 times a day, you're not doing it enough. If you have 20 employees, you should have cast vision 40 times that day. They should know, I should be able to walk up to any of your employees, know the vision, know your core values, and know the long-term goals. All of them. That aligns the ship. That makes everybody row together. That gets everything going faster. That builds trust, teamwork, all those things that you want, all the characteristics that we talk about in leadership. Vision creates those. Next is communicate goals. Ensure that every team member understands and is committed to the vision and objectives. This is why you take time when you onboard somebody. This is what you're going to onboard them on. We onboard them on things like, this is how we do this, and this is how we do this, and specifically, this is how you're going to do this task. What if they're a badass and they can do it a totally different way, and it's way better than your system that you've had for 20 years? I want them to have the autonomy to do what they do best. And as long as they have the core values, as long as they have the vision and the objectives of what needs to happen to fulfill that vision, how they get there, as long as it's not unethical, I'm all for that. Be creative. Go. Run. And then third, align actions with vision. Make decisions and take actions that consistently move the team towards the vision. And make sure you let them know that. When you have team meetings, say, hey, we did this. We went in this direction. We talked to this client. We went and worked with this department solely for this focus of this vision, and we accomplished this towards the vision. You have to not just align actions with the vision, but communicate it. Habit number 3, put first things first. This is prioritization. Prioritizing tasks based on importance rather than urgency. How many fires do you put out a day? All of them, you say. How tired of you are doing things that are urgent, but they're not on the priority list? You will not be an effective leader if you don't get in the habit of managing your time and resources efficiently to achieve the goal and allow those things that are urgent, if they don't align in the importance matrix, like look at your matrix and say, hey, this is important. This is what needs to be accomplished. Here's where I'm going. Here's the direction. Yeah, this thing is urgent, but it's kind of maybe like a 2 or 3 in importance on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being important. Yeah, it's urgent, but I can kind of let this go to the side. This is something that you have to have. It's called discernment. And let me give you some tips on this, because prioritizing tasks can be really hard, especially if you have a manager mind and this is what you do and this is how you get your self-worth as a leader, is coming in and working your ass off all day long and just handling fires. And you've created a dependency. I don't want to get into that. I'm going to do a whole podcast on that. But leadership tips on this. Identify key priorities. Determine the most important tasks that align with your vision. You can't do it all. You cannot do it all. Let me tell you that again. You cannot do it all. One person cannot handle everything. It's unrealistic. You're setting yourself up for failure. You're setting yourself up for burnout. You're setting yourself up to die early. Literally. Number 2, delegate effectively. Assign tasks to team members based on their strengths and the importance of the task. You should know their strengths. If you're coaching, you know, and delegate. Delegate all of these tasks. You should not be doing any of these. Free yourself up to be able to coach and see how it's going. Don't do the task. Delegate the task. Very important. Number 3, focus on high impact activities. What's going to drive significant progress towards your objective, towards the vision, towards these core values? This requires a lot of self-awareness, doesn't it? You have to take the time. It's easy to walk into work, be reactive, and just handle fires all day. That's the average leader. And depending on how you handle the fires is how you're rated, if whether you're a good leader or not, right? But that's not true. You're operating at like 30, 40%. And you're going to have a culture that is totally dependent on you, and they're not satisfied because they have to wait for you to get free. How many times do I hear, well, we got to wait for this person, this leader, and then they'll approve this, and then I can move forward? Why? Who made you King Solomon, where you're sitting there with all your wisdom on a throne, deciding which things should go this way or this way? If you want your people to flourish and you want to have high net worth people that kick ass and are responsible and do what they're supposed to do, you have to let them do that. Number 4, habit 4, think win-win. This is mutual benefits always. Successful leaders foster a culture of collaboration and mutual benefit. This habit is about creating and maintaining positive relationships where all parties feel valued and respected. I do this all the time with employees. What's a win-win here? Hey guys, help me. I need a win-win here. We have this client. They're asking for this. We're here. How do we create a win-win? I've got 40% profit here. If we do what they're wanting, we're going to have 18% profit. How can we create a win-win here? Well, we can add value here. We can add value here. We can't change our percentage, but we can do this, this, and this. And I'll have this person contact this person on their team. And maybe we can see, let's have another conversation and see what the real problem is. Why are they asking for it cheaper? Is it a budget constraint? Like, what's going on? Seek mutual benefits. How do you do this? Promote collaboration. Encourage teamwork. Number 2, foster a positive culture. Create an environment where mutual respect and support are the norms. You have to have mutual respect, guys. That's what leadership is all about. If they don't respect you, they're not going to respect those that they work with. If you have somebody that doesn't respect you, you need to fire them. Or you need to have a conversation with them. If you're not willing to fire them, you need to have a conversation with them and say, hey, our leadership is built off respect. I know we're friends, but the way that you treat me here is disrespectful to me. And you need to have that conversation. And some of you leaders allow people to get away with things that you know is rude, it's unbecoming, and it demeans you as a leader. Because some of you feel like you're not good enough and you don't deserve the position. So you allow people to step all over you. You have to foster a positive culture. That is mutual respect. That is support. We support each other. We don't throw each other in the bus. We support each other. That's the norm. Next is negotiate fairly. Approach negotiation conflicts with the aim of finding solution. Let's benefit all parties. Get the ego out of the way. I'll even say that in a negotiation. I want to get my ego out of the way. Let's get your ego out of the way. I don't want this to turn into a conflict. So let's figure this out. I want both of us to figure this out where both of us are happy. How does that sound to you? Perfect. And usually you can come up with a win-win, right? Think win-win on everything in life. Think win-win. Every relationship that you have, whether it's personal, business, whatever it is, think win-win. Habit number 5, seek first to understand, then to be understood. This is empathy, guys. Listen actively. Try to understand your team members' perspectives. Find their concerns. Ask them. Don't express your views until you've heard theirs. Always ask a question first. Hey, Susan, what do you think of this? Hey, Cindy, this, and this happened. What's your perspective on this? What concern do you have for this time frame or timeline with this project? Always ask questions and then listen. Pay close attention, like really listen. If you want to see someone that does this really well, you may hate him, you may love him. Usually people hate him or they love him. I've never met somebody that's kind of like, Usually people say, oh my God. But this guy, whether you hate him or you love him, has the ability to pay attention. Go on YouTube, type in Tucker Carlson. I know I just said it. Don't cut me off. I don't agree or disagree with him. I'm not into politics. I'm above that. I'm into making an influence on people's lives that I can. Who's the president doesn't affect how I lead other people. I have a lot of work to do with myself before I worry about this huge macro, this or that. But watch how get past him, however your political view is. If you love him, great. You may be watching him already. Watch his facial expressions and how he pays attention. How he pays attention to his guest. Just watch it. It's very, very interesting. You will see proactive, active listening. Next is encourage open dialogue. Create opportunities for team members to voice their opinion and concern without penalty. Don't cut them off. I've seen so many leaders do that. Somebody starts talking and they're getting ready, that they've kind of shared things. Maybe they're a little bit slower than you are. They don't talk as fast as you do, because I've done this 100 times. I have to apologize. Hey, I cut you off. Jim, I'm so sorry. What were you going to say? I want to make sure we follow this thread because I think it's really important what you're saying right now. And listen. Let people talk. Open dialogue. And the next is build trust. This is seek first to understand, then be understood. Number 3 is build trust. Show empathy and understanding to build strong, trusting relationships in your team. Habit 6, synergize. Creative cooperation. Synergistic leaders leverage the strengths and diverse perspectives of their team. They do this because they want to achieve innovative and effective solutions. And this habit, this synergize, this creative cooperation, emphasize the power of what it is to be a team. We say we're a team with words, but we don't act like we're a team, do we? So how do you have creative cooperation? Number 1, value diversity. Embrace the leverage that diverse people and skills bring to you. Diverse experiences, where someone was raised. If it's totally opposite of you, it's great that you're on your team because they're going to have a whole different perspective on the client. It's so valuable to have a diverse team. So valuable. You do not realize how valuable it is because people will see things that you do not see. If everybody has a suit and tie on and they're all white and they all come from upper middle class families and they all graduated from Harvard or Yale or MIT, that doesn't work. You're going to miss a lot of things. You're not going to have a perspective of what you should do in the company. You will be surprised. I've pulled people in that's not even related to anything to do, and has no expertise. And I ask them their perspective because I value their diversity. And I want to know. I said, hey, we're looking at this product. Here's a PowerPoint. What do you think about this? Ask somebody totally, I'm talking way off. Somebody that's building rivets in the factory. Pull 5 of those up and show them a PowerPoint of what you guys are working on. And tell them, hey, I need you guys to rip this to shreds. Be honest with me. And get a middle class perspective of what your product is. And I guarantee you're going to find things that you missed. So awesome. Next is encourage innovation. Foster an environment where creativity and innovation are encouraged and valued. And that means when you have art, when you have creativity, it means people are going to fail. They got to go through 100 canvases before they get the perfect masterpiece. You have to understand that. Innovation is failure after failure after failure after failure after failure. Before all you know, it's like, bam, we hit it. We've got the gold mine. Look at Apple, $3 trillion company. How many times did they fail? Read the beginning of Apple. You'll see. Facilitate teamwork. Promote cooperative problem-solving and decision-making process. Cooperative problem-solving means when you have a problem, you don't try to solve it. Even if you think you know the answer, bring your team in, bring your leaders in. It doesn't have to be an hour-long conversation. Say, hey guys, 15, 20 minutes here. I want us to go over, here's a problem that we have with these clients. I want to have a conversation, and I want us to try to solve this. What do you guys think? Here's the problem. Here, I just got off the phone, blah, blah. I do this all the time with the team. Habit number 7, last habit. I love this one, sharpen the saw. This is renewal. Leaders who prioritize self-renewal and continuous improvement set a positive example for their team. Do not be afraid, guys. Get rid of your ego. Hey, I'm going to a conference, a leadership conference. I want to learn. I want to study. I want to know. And I'm going to let all my team know I'll be gone for 3 days. I'm going to a leadership conference. This habit involves maintaining and enhancing your life, the well-being of who you are as a leader. Not people are not robots. This 20-hour days or 18-hour days or 12-hour days is bullshit, guys. You know this. You can't do that for very long. Sometimes you need to have that happen to build momentum. I get it. But after that, take time off. Relax. Time off is not a bad word. If you're enhancing your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being, it's needed. The harder your job is, the more renewal time you need. Understand that. So how do you sharpen the saw? Invest in personal growth. Continuously seek opportunities for learning and development. Listen to podcasts. Understand what it is to study a leadership book. Grab some John Maxwell books. Order this book right now in the show notes. It's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Study it. Invest in your personal growth. Buy things that are for you. Maintain balance. Prioritize your physical health, guys. I see leaders sacrifice this all the time. They're eating fast food or getting lunches delivered to them. They're eating in 10 minutes, and then they're back to work. How about you do coaching and take someone to lunch? And take time and sit there, and you can do coaching. It's awesome. They love to leave work and be able to go to lunch with you. What does mental sharpness look like? What does spiritual fulfillment look like in your life? What does emotional well-being look like? And then lastly, encourage team development. Support those. Send them to conferences, not just for technical things, but send them. If you have somebody that you're, wanting to be a leader, that you're working with, send them to a leadership conference. It's worth the investment. They're going to come back so pumped and with so many. Say, hey, one thing I want you to do, I'm going to send you here, but I want you to come back and bring me some ideas of some things that we can do as leaders. Because I want to learn too. I want to learn what you're learning. And then you get the leaders together and let them do a whole class on what they learned at the conference. And you sit there and you be quiet. And you listen and you take notes and you learn like you're really learning from them. Like they're the master teaching. They're going to respect you so much. Integrating these 7 habits of highly effective people into your leadership approach, I guarantee you will transform the way you lead. It will transform the way you inspire others. And if you're being proactive, having a clear vision, prioritizing effectively, fostering a win-win mindset, practicing empathy, leveraging synergy, and prioritizing renewal, you're going to become a self-aware leader. So I encourage you guys today to start by focusing on one habit at a time. Just pick one and work on that. And gradually incorporate these principles into your daily leadership practice. I like to take one and focus on it for the month or for the week or for 2 weeks and just focus on that one and read the chapter over and over and over and say, okay, I'm going to work on these 7 habits for a year. I'm going to work on these for 7 weeks and make that your focus. Put the habit right on your desk, the big 3x5 card right on your monitor. Because if you focus and gradually incorporate this, the journey towards becoming a highly effective leader, I guarantee you, it will have profound and long-term lasting effects.